Hi, so today is Monday, July 29th, 2013. And my name is Linda Conley, and I'm interviewing Ruth and John Knowles, who have lived in Hopkinton for how many years now?
Since 62.
51.
62 and
I
51?
dragged him here.
Okay, okay. And this interview is part of the Hopkinton's Oral History Project. It will become part of Hopkinton's verbal memories, and hopefully for today and into the future, people will be interested in hearing from people who have lived in the town for a long time, in consideration of the fact that the town is changing really quickly now too. Okay, so tell us, how long have you lived in Hopkinton, and give me your address.
I've lived in Hopkinton since 62, live at 23 Curtis Road. What else do you want?
Okay, and since 62?
1955.
1955, and where were you
Curtis
in
Road.
1955? Oh, okay.
Well, over by the lake when we first started out, because the house was being finished. That was when they had 2 hurricanes that year in August.
So when you say over by the lake, tell us about that. What lake? And
Maspinock.
Maspinock?
They had cottages over there. My father rented a cottage because we had sold the house, and he had sold the house in Melrose. So we were over there until the house got finished so we could move in it.
So what was your address by Lake Maspinock?
How the heck did I know? I wasn't there long enough.
Okay,
It was just a place to go stay until the house got finished. In
okay.
the meantime, Massachusetts had 2 hurricanes that summer within about 3 weeks. And we didn't get any water in the cellar, in the
Okay.
house, which was
And
in
so what
my-
year was that with the hurricane?
55.
55.
Yep.
Okay, so, but your father had a summer house there?
No,
No.
we rented it. I don't even know who owned it.
Okay,
The lake was pretty much all cottages over there. People did not live
yeah,
usually
not
over
like they do now, huh?
No.
Yeah,
there.
Dad worked for Liberty.
The reason why I'm here is Liberty Mutual. They built that research center down on Franklin Road, and my father worked for that because he was in loss prevention, and they moved the loss prevention department out here. Before that, he lived and worked out of Boston, in the basement of the old Liberty Mutual building. So that's what moved me out to Hopkinton.
your dad's job. Yeah.
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 Never heard of the place. Didn't want to come. I was going into my senior year in high school. It was
Oh, okay.
the last place I wanted to be. Everything was in an upheaval. So I did finish school out of Melrose, which was where I was born.
Yeah,
And came out here
yeah.
and haven't left. Got married and dragged him, came along with us.
How much after, so that was when you were 17 in 1954?
Yeah, I graduated from high school in '56. I moved out here while I was here, I worked for a year. Then I went in training in Framingham Union. So I graduated in 1960 from there, then went into Boston for 2 years and got my bachelor's. And,
Boston University.
yep, and before I'd finished in there, I had 1 more semester to go. He and I got married, so he moved out with my father. We moved in with my father, which could not have been a big mistake in many ways. Anyhow, then my father left, and we bought the house. So we've been there ever since.
On Curtis Road.
Yeah,
I moved out here from Somerville, a big city, and one of the first things I saw when I come out here was Pitchy Smith's restaurant right up there in the center of town by the town hall.
Tell me again,
It's built.
Pitchy Smith's?
Pitchy Smith's
Yeah.
is the
yeah.
name of it.
It was Brown and Smith
Yeah.
at that point. And it was where all the newspapers came in, the kids would come up and collect the newspapers that did the road and did all sorts of lots of
Well,
things.
anyhow, in front of Pinchy Smith's, when I went by, was Bruno Polnick's manure-covered tractor. And I thought that was classy.
That was one of your first impressions then,
Yes.
when you came? Yeah,
Farming community.
yeah. It struck me, and I've been here 17 years, but I was seeing older women sitting on tractors and cutting their lawns. I thought, it has this, it had a rural feel even then, you
Mm.
know? A woman on a
Yeah.
tractor. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So-
Bruno used to cut all the lawns for the high school and everything. It was a big farm tractor. It wasn't no little thing.
Yep, get parked right out in the middle of Main Street.
Can you talk about what Main Street looked like at that time? So you got that?
Obviously, there weren't as many cars as there are now. And
I'm trying to think.
what else?
Well, at that point, the library was still the Episcopal Church.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
The little restaurant over here, Zia's, was still a private home. Coffee shop down the street was a beauty parlor. Fecto. I think it was Marie
What was the
Fecto.
name of the restaurant down in the center of town there?
Where?
Where the gas station is now?
I know. Hutch's?
Hutch's
A
Restaurant.
little tiny thing.
He used to cook, serve, take the orders, did everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very good. He had
Mhm.
about maybe 4 or 5 tables
Mm-hmm.
in his little restaurant. It's where the gas station is right now, where the
That was
post
up over
office
there.
used to be.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I
All right,
don't
so
know,
it was
you
a
mean-
restaurant, and then it was the post office, and now
No,
it's a gas
no, no,
station.
no. On that corner, they had, and I don't know when they were doing these things because I admire the old people, but there was there must have been a half a dozen to 10 steps to get up to the post office. Remember that? That you had to go up to get in, it was a little small thing?
It was up, yeah. I don't know
Yeah,
if it
you,
was 10.
you went up, well, I don't know how many, but there was concrete, like getting up to the library
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
Concrete steps, and the other thing I remember was a little shop called Emmett's, and I don't know who the lady was that ran it, but it was a nice, you could go in and you could buy little baby clothes and things like that. It was just
A
a
clothing
very
store.
nice
Uh-huh.
little shop.
So this, you're talking Cedar and Main Street, am I right?
Yeah,
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 Yes.
lots of, little shops.
yeah,
Yeah,
And across the street was the town barn, right on the corner of Cedar.
yeah.
which is
Main.
where
Colella's
Colella's
is
is.
now.
Colella's is now.
Yeah, I have
I
seen
remember the
photographs
town
of that.
barn, I don't remember Colella's moving there, so they had to move down there sometime between, while I was still involved in school, I think, but I'm not sure.
So as residents of the town, do you remember that you frequently went to these little shops and ate at the, met friends and had lunch in the restaurants and bought things from the stores? or-
Not that much, I'm not a shopper.
Oh,
I avoid shopping like the
the
plague.
drugstore was right there on the corner.
Yeah.
And what else did I think of?
Was the soda fountain still there when you came?
Yes.
Yeah, the
It
drugstore.
was Liggett Rexall drugstore.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was.
Then I think probably Ed eventually, whenever they went to the franchise.
Ed Kitts was the proprietor and
Might have-
pharmacist.
and how about Weston Nurseries? You're being up your way.
Western
Weston
Nurseries was there. They continued to buy around us.
They were still purchasing land back then.
not selling it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because opposite us, Charlie Irvine, of all the Irvines, owned that whole strip. And he had a greenhouse, because I think he was raising mums before he went to work for Liberty Mutual. It was one of the things he did when he got out of the service, I believe. And they owned that whole strip across from us.
Mhm.
And then the nursery bought that, and then eventually they bought around us.
Yeah,
Now, across the street where the new storage system is, was a great big cornfield. That,
That's on
Machini,
Clinton Street.
on Clinton Street, Machini, I believe, yeah, that's the family. But they had a huge cornfield, and you go down every
Nice,
summer, you'd see
yeah.
all the corn.
yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So to feel rural, I mean, you coming from Somerville, did you feel like you were coming to a,
Definitely.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
lakes and
Yeah.
cornfields, yeah.
yeah. So, but that didn't really, that didn't really bother me as such. I think the biggest cultural shock I had was when I probably lived in the house for 25 years or more and happened to wake up one Christmas morning and looked over this way up towards this end of the Ash Street.
Mm-hmm.
God, there's lights in the window. There's lights over there. There'd never been lights. You know, once in a while you'd see a few come through on from Clinton Street,
Yeah.
from the house. But
Yeah.
never any lights from that end.
Yeah,
Oh, my
That
gosh.
was a new development.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's up, further up, and I can't think of the name of the streets out. It begins with an H, but anyway, up that way.
yeah,
So,
yeah, seeing a lot of
Yes, yes,
change.
yeah.
Yeah. So you had kids in the town?
Yep.
And what,
Well-
you have anything to say about the schools, or what you remember about them growing up in the town, and kind of things that you did with them, and?
It was obviously a much smaller community. The push at that point was to try to improve the schools. But there again, a kid that wants to achieve regardless.
So you had
My kids all
center
went
school, did they go all the way through center school and then just?
Center
to-
school, then they went to Elmwood School, then they went up to the high school, and that had the middle school and the high school. And then my
Right.
kids all went to Keefe.
Yeah,
So the three of them graduated from Keefe rather than Hopkinton High
Mhm.
School. But a lot of, the two boys especially are still friends, you know people that went through Hopkinton and whatever, so they still pick up ones that they,
you remember about how big the classes were? I mean, how big, like a graduating class in that time, and we're talking about,
no, I would.
talking about 70s,
Roughly, I wanna
80s?
say maybe 100, maybe no,
Yeah, yeah,
probably no more than 100, but
yeah,
I
but,
don't
so
know.
what year did they graduate from Keefe Tech, just so we
Um,
have an idea of what year?
82, 84, and 87.
Yeah, yeah.
So the school was new at that point. So, but
And so when they were kids on Curtis Street, they just,
the kids, you don't see kids now like you used to. Then the kids, they kind of roamed the neighborhood.
yeah.
You know, you didn't have, they weren't off to daycare, et cetera. They were just
Yep,
out
they
in the
didn't make
neighborhood
play
or roam-
dates, yeah.
Or roam the nursery.
It was a kid's paradise. They had hundreds of acres to play in.
Yeah,
A lot of
With
them,
ponds and brooks and roads,
you know, they'd go fishing down out of the nursery. They could go swimming.
ride bikes.
Yeah.
yeah, you put them out and you tell them to come back when
Yeah,
the lights,
yeah,
well,
pretty much.
yeah,
Yeah.
When it
And,
gets dark.
you know, it's like, well, it was the next door neighbor at that point. His mother called, Northeast Diving Company because, and I didn't realize until we were up for his mom's celebration of her life, I didn't realize it was my son that drove the bike into the pond down in Western Nurseries. It wasn't Ivor at all. It was,
Tell me, what happened?
kid-
Tell, what
they
were
were
the,
taking the bikes and jumping off and going into the pond. And I don't know whether Arthur hit a rock or something, and he lost the bike, and the bike was down in the bottom of the pond. And I didn't realize it was my kid that did it. I thought it was Ivor and one of his little didos.
so what'd they do? They hauled the bike out? I mean, were they
His
concerned?
father got it
Yeah,
out, yeah.
but
His
were they
father got it
concerned-
out, but she wanted to call Northeast Diving Company, which I thought was funny.
Send up a diver to go get the bike.
And meanwhile, it's your kid, huh?
And meanwhile, it's my kid, yeah, yeah. Or my kid finding contact lenses floating on the top.
Yeah,
My youngest one had contacts, and I think he lost them in every conceivable place, along with his glasses.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
Go
yeah.
to trial.
yes,
Yeah, so a good place for a kid to grow up, huh?
it was.
It still is. There's still, there's still a lot of space.
Yeah, but the kids don't roam quite as much as they used to. You know, I would think nothing when they got a little older of, okay, you know, you go uptown, you go here, you go there. Now I would think a little more about letting them go, mainly because of traffic.
Yeah,
You know, you could walk uptown without taking your life in your
yeah,
hands.
that's kind
and
of, that Mike's kid works at Western Nursery now, and that's a day, sometimes he has ridden his bike, and I fear for his life when he
Yes,
rides his
yes.
bike on Main. So was it, your kids ride their bikes on,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
on East Main there?
All
yeah,
three
yeah,
of them.
Yeah.
Got a picture in the newspaper of Charlie coming up Cedar Street.
Yeah,
And they just happened to snap, he was probably about 12 or 13, maybe 12.
yeah, that's a
something
good hill too, huh?
like- Yeah,
Yeah,
coming up Cedar Street.
yeah, a lot more traffic,
I wouldn't want them riding now.
yeah.
Matter of fact, they don't let the kid out of your sight now, pretty much.
Yeah.
And before you just never thought anything about it. they'd go off and come back.
Yeah, yeah. Were there things going on in the town that they participated in? You know, can you think of town
Yeah.
activities?
We had a
Little League?
square dance club that we were both into pretty heavily at the time. We were officers in the club.
Where was, I think I've seen stuff at the Historical Society. Where did they hold their meetings and where did they do the dancing?
At the high school and at
Started.
Elmwood School.
Yeah, it was Elmwood, also at the Episcopal Church.
And we started off at the Episcopal Church, yes. We needed a hall, in other words, because you had,
The Episcopal Church being the building where the library is now? Is that what you're
No,
talking about?
no, the
so
new one.
on
the new-
Wood Street.
New Episcopal
Yeah.
Church, yes.
I don't know when that was built. That
Down
must
on
have
Wood
been
Street.
built in early 60s, because Charlie was 3 weeks old and he was born in 69.
Yeah.
Yeah, the connection, it became connected to the library in, I think, 67, something
Yeah,
like that.
we had a float in the Hobbles Parade a couple of years in a row.
The Square Dance Club.
Yes, we
Yeah.
square dance on the big flatbed trailer truck.
How many people in the club?
Oh,
It got harder and harder to keep it going, but I think probably in the beginning there was at
2
least
dozen, 3 dozen at the most.
couples.
But we traveled and had a lot of fun.
And then when we first came, we met a lot of them. They had a couples club that met out of the Congregational Church, which is now the Korean Presbyterian Church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Matter of fact, that's where we got married, was in the old Congregational
okay.
Church.
Yeah. Was- They increased that, but at the point that was very, very pretty inside.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But more clubs, yeah, people used to participate in
Yeah,
clubs.
and then there was what, the teen canteen that you,
Used to be in the old Congregational Church, yes,
downstairs.
in the hall, the downstairs hall. All the high school kids used to attend. And I think I chaperoned there
Yeah,
sometimes.
you
So was
did.
that music and dancing? or-
Dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a Saturday.
Play records, or
Yeah,
once in a while I had some live entertainment, not many, very often.
yeah, yeah. So what, like in the 70s, you talking?
Probably more towards late 60s.
Yeah. Before we had children, so it had to be late 60s.
Oh, okay, yeah,
60s, yeah,
In the 60s.
65 or so.
yeah.
No, Beth Ann was born in 64, so. Then, of course, there was the Masons, which he was into. Still is,
Yeah.
up there,
So you've been a Mason for a long time?
Yes.
Yeah.
for a while. And then the Masons used to have, once a year, they'd have, what was it, auction?
Oh, yeah, the fundraiser for the
To build the,
maintenance of the building and everything. We used to have an auction where people would donate or would go and pick up stuff, bring it down. We had an auctioneer from Woodville come down and
thought-
auction the stuff off.
I thought Bill Hamilton did that.
Furniture, he was the man behind the auction.
Auction.
He was not the auctioneer.
Oh, okay.
Fellow that lived in that brick house out on Wood Street.
Gilson?
Yes. Gilson?
Gilson?
Gilson, yes. Mr. Gilson was the auctioneer.
What was his name?
And
Can't think of his name. There
we
is
used to
his-
sell hot dogs and had a raffle and.
Kids would go
it was
up there and help out.
entertaining.
Yeah, it was a good night.
Yeah,
Yeah. Had the kids involved.
That's another one. I don't know if Mary Gilson would be another one.
it's another familiar
She
name.
may, yeah, she may or may not.
Her son has taken over the house. I don't know where she is.
I don't know if she's still there or not. I haven't seen her for a while, but when Jean Clark came down, she did go down to visit her.
Did she?
I think she went, she wanted to see her, but I don't know, I haven't seen her for a while. She's got problems to say her words,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
so.
Remember the Horribles Parade, for example, and did you ever participate in that?
That was with the
Right,
square
with the
dance
square
club.
dancing,
Square
right.
Dance Club, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
The other big parade was when they had, what's this one, 250th anniversary?
250.
250, I believe. What's this one coming up, 300?
Yeah, 300
Okay, so
coming
it'll
up.
be 250. Was in 65. That was one good parade.
The 65 one? Yeah.
You know, plus it was the same time my father retired from Liberty, so he was 65 and put everything all together, had his birthday and the retirement, because at that point you had to retire at 65.
Yeah.
You turned 65, it was bye-bye.
Yeah,
Not like Coahuila, so they keep some of us on.
yeah, yeah,
Thank God.
yeah.
But that was a very good parade, and you know, it seemed like kind of pulled a lot of people together, a lot of them. You know, I know the neighborhood had a float.
The Rainbow Girls had a float.
Yeah, you did the Rainbow
Who
Girls.
were the Rainbow Girls?
The girl up the street, her last name is LaRock. What's her name?
Linda.
Linda LaRock was in the Rainbow Girls, and they brought the float down. We were working on it.
Yeah, what
The
were
Rainbow Girls are, well, like the D. Malay is to the Masons, it's the kids.
Yeah,
The Rainbow Girls to the Eastern Star, it's the kids.
okay, yeah,
They used to have pretty active, Pam Main is another one that was active in that, still is.
yeah.
But it's like all organizations.
Yeah, see,
They're
clubs and
all-
organization, it's different now. People do,
Yeah.
They
don't do
don't-
club, yeah, I mean, to a
They
point,
don't do
but, yeah,
clubs and things like that.
yeah,
So anything like that, particularly if it's a singular, it's just not there.
yeah.
They're not joining up. People are, why, I don't know, but they're a lot busier. It seems like the kids have to be more involved in this and that and the other thing, and if they aren't into soccer, baseball, you know.
Yeah, there's more structure,
Same
there's
old
definitely
stuff.
more
lot more
structure.
structure.
One thing I did think of was the old Polyarts started way back. Was that the 60s?
Was it?
Sue McCluskey?
Sue McCluskey, I know.
So
Sue
that-
McCluskey started the whole thing. She got it all together.
Polyarts on the Common,
Yes.
Yeah.
At that time, we had to go all the way down to the Shoppers World and pick up the easels, truck them all the way back here and set them up for the artists to put their canvases on so they could display them. And then when the Polyarts was over, we had to put them back in the truck and bring them all the way back to the Shoppers World. They had a storage room down there that kept all that extra stuff.
So was it this similar kind of thing though, arts and crafts, selling stuff, or?
yes.
But it
Yeah.
was,
Yes, it was.
I think the original focus was to show more of what people in Hopkinton were doing.
It was the town only.
It was
Yeah.
the town.
Yeah,
Whereas
that's a big
now, like
difference.
everything else is expanded,
Yeah,
so it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Sue McCluskey started the whole thing.
yeah. Yeah, and
Just did a
it,
good
it
job.
goes off every year, people
Yeah,
plan,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, but it's more outside vendors, I think.
right, and it's not showing what people in Hopkinton are doing so
You
much.
get some
as, you
people
know,
in Hopkinton
Yeah.
to show,
Few
but
from
others.
Hopkinton,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, interesting change, huh?
Yeah, oh, hey, interesting change is the marathon. If you want to change, you know, you used to go up and it'd be maybe 300 people would run by the end of the street instead of this traveling horde.
Yeah,
And it seemed like the television coverage seemed to get more than what it was. I'd heard of the marathon, you know, they'd come in and you'd have people get out of the Fenway Park and go out and watch the runners go by. Whereas now it's just, you
yeah,
know,
it was not such a big deal. I
No.
remember, I grew up along the route too in Newton, and it was, we might walk down to the bottom of the street if we felt like it.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I still do that if I feel like it. It's
Exactly.
not a must-see.
Yeah.
No desire to come uptown, really. Came up once when I think the first time, this is going way back, when they had one gal that was on, at the point it was WNAC-TV, was up there interviewing. I took one look, walked around and said, this is not for me, out of here. I suppose that shows I was being very insular.
Well, you're
at
right
that
along
time.
the route.
Yeah.
You don't go to the end of Curtis to watch the
Yeah.
runners?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Yeah,
Well, it would depend. When I was working nights, it would be, okay, let's see how I can talk my way back into town
Yeah.
to get home.
yeah. Yeah, it does get old year after year, huh? Kind of,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
The glow is
One
gone.
thing I remember about the marathon was at the Masonic Lodge, we used to try to put on something to raise money. And we had bash a car. Arts Auto Body would bring a car up, minus the gas tank and a few other things, so it wouldn't be dangerous. And people would pay to hit the car with a sledgehammer.
Great,
It was
great.
something like $1 a hit. And these one enterprising group of college kids, they tried to do the macho thing. And they said, how much would it be if we could roll the car over? We agreed on a price, and they all rolled it back
Yeah.
over and started walking away. And they said, wait a minute, you gotta put it back so we can continue. Okay, then they rolled it back. But made a heck of a mess. There was broken glass everywhere. I
Yeah.
remember cleaning it up a couple of times.
Was that a one-time deal?
Oh, we did it for a few years.
You did, yeah?
Yeah, and in the last few years, I put a canvas under the car. I got smart.
Yeah, yeah,
Went into the, break up all that stuff.
yeah. That's innovative, that's good, yeah.
We made a few dollars. No big deal, but it was a lot of fun.
Don't they, with the elite runners of the marathon, don't they go to the Masons? Don't they?
The group,
No, it's
Children's
at
Hospital.
Children's Hospital now,
Oh, is it?
Children's
The runners
Hospital
for
rent it.
rented,
Oh, okay.
for their runners.
Matter of fact, they rent the whole lodge, upstairs and down, for
Mhm.
that day.
Mhm.
And the elite runners are over in the old Congregational Church.
Oh, okay.
Oh, up the Korean Presbyterian.
Yes. the
Yes,
Korean
yeah, I know, it's hard to,
Yeah.
everybody still calls that the congregational, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then it's quite an event.
Well, it isn't the Congregational anymore, now it's Faith Community.
That's right,
Yeah,
that's
right.
right. Yeah,
it's
the
changed.
evolution of all the
It's
names of the
changed,
churches, yeah.
Well, name change, philosophy change too.
Yeah, 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 that's a whole story, yeah. But how long have you worked at Kalala's?
Let me see, 1995.
Mm-hmm.
So
Seen changes there?
18 Well, the store is enlarged.
Yeah.
Basically not an awful, to say change, no, not a lot of change, and I don't know what you want to put down as change.
Mm.
I think basically the service is still the same. We try to do, I sound like I'm advertising for them, but you know, you try to give the customer the best you can,
Yeah,
and the girls do a real good job at that.
yeah,
Try to make it customer friendly. That philosophy hasn't changed. Probably the biggest change came, maybe, oh God, now. It's got to be 25 years ago, because when Arthur was working there,
Arthur who?
my son
Mm-hmm.
was working there, senior in high school, junior in high school, when Danny expanded the store.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one proud man. He was so proud of what was gonna go in there and how it was gonna be and all the rest. I mean, he worked hard. I mean, give him all credit. They worked hard for
Mhm.
what they got, and he was so proud of what he was doing with the store. Because I remember they used to have the farm stand up on Hayden Row Street years ago. Idlewood Farm. Who was
Okay,
this?
yeah,
Who was this? But, yeah, you know, the products change, prices change,
yeah, yeah.
God knows. But I think probably the same basic philosophy is there, that you try to give the customer the best you can
Mhm.
and do the best for them, give them the best service that you can.
And living on Curtis Road, have you driven into the Legacy Farms? Have you looked?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We looked at the apartments last week. They had an open house on the apartments.
Yeah, Russell is your neighbor, and we talked a little bit about that in his interview. Yeah,
Did you go down there?
I have.
Did you get in to see the apartments?
No, I didn't see the interior, but that's going to be a big. In my, I don't know. I can't look into a crystal ball, but I would guess that that's going to be a
Bottleneck.
major change for the future. That was
Definitely in our area.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, for our area, definitely. I can, depending upon how solid that particular community becomes, the apartments to me look like they're not a permanent arrangement, I would not say.
Not a permanent arrangement?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would say there would be people moving in and moving out.
yeah,
I don't think it would be anything particularly, that was my feeling, going in and seeing the apartment.
yeah,
That it would not be like a permanent arrangement. But I can even see Hopkinton breaking off into East Hopkinton, like Ashland broke off from Hopkinton years ago. That would not surprise me.
yeah, it seemed like it's like a little town in its own
Well,
right.
that's the general idea,
Yeah,
it's like a
a
little
village,
town in
yeah.
itself, and I think probably, I don't know what the retail are that they're gonna have up there. That would be, this is where you're gonna go shop, where you're gonna go eat, where you're gonna,
Yeah,
the whole 9 yards. I don't know how many restaurants the town of Hopkinton can support,
yeah,
different types of restaurants.
yeah, but the traffic, traffic.
And the
is-
traffic
yeah,
is bad now.
Yeah,
You pick your battles as far as getting out, and sometimes you sit there and say, okay, how long is it?
yeah,
When I moved into town, Hopkinton had one light, a
Did it have
yellow
one?
light at 135 and 85, and that was the only one that was in town.
when
I
I
thought
moved to
that was
town
amazing.
in '95, they said, take a right at the new traffic light to me, and I said, I don't know which is the new one, I
Yeah.
don't know, yeah,
Probably the only one.
yeah,
Well, yeah, because it wasn't there.
Yeah.
I thought that came after you, that traffic light.
It
'Cause-
was there,
Was
Yeah.
in the 60s.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah. Well,
because
they
I
were,
know at one point it wasn't there, it
Probably
just-
wasn't on all the time.
that could have been too,
The traffic wasn't that heavy.
yeah, yeah,
yeah. But
Well-
now it's just
Yeah.
thoroughfare going through. How many more questions you got?
well, that's good, that's pretty good, I think you did a nice job of, talking about the town, I've learned, and, I appreciate your,
The other thing, okay, you wanna know what the biggest change is probably, is, basically the demographics. It was strictly a blue-collar town when we came.
mhm,
Now it's very high-end in many ways. I can remember when my daughter was in the fourth grade, she had one, the teacher was Jewish. And I said, well, teach these kids something about Hanukkah. You didn't have the Jewish, the Muslim population, or even the blacks.
mhm,
The whole configuration has changed. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, because I don't think it is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing, because this is what the country is, and this is what it's
Right.
gonna be. But at that point, it was very
still a
much-
dramatic change, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So, but, and I felt that it was something, I know I didn't get it in school. It was all based strictly on the Christian principle
yeah,
of this. And, of course now they've taken out the school prayer and all this, but it'd be a good thing
mhm,
for kids to learn.
mhm,
This is, and that's a big change. And-
Speaking of change, I think the biggest one was when 495 went through.
do you recall that
Changed
process?
Everything,
Yeah,
yes, quite a process.
Four
From that
ninety-five,
point on,
yeah, 495
population
EMC,
started to grow, and,
EMC.
yeah,
I think the two of them probably had one of the biggest effects.
yeah, you're no longer geographically isolated, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Easy to get to,
yeah, so people could move to the community that were gonna be working farther away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of put us on the map.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So then what was that, is that like late sixties, the 495?
Yeah.
Well, we were going up to Maine, so it had to be somewhere around late 60s, early 70s. I can't remember the time frame.
Yep.
Yeah,
Because I think when Murph and Pearl first started to go up there, don't know was 495, was that, I don't think that was, we had the interchange there.
so what was, it was,
Wasn't it?
small street, South Street, small street, trees. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
they started slowly
yeah,
adding the industrial. That was supposed to be what was supposed to bring money into the town.
yeah,
et
the
cetera,
economic
so forth.
base. Yeah,
I
Everything
would
was
go
supposed to be
along with
green.
the increase and we need more business, et cetera, if all the towns that have more business weren't in the same boat we are. We're
Yeah.
probably better off than they are.
yeah,
You know, Milford, Framingham, they're all in the same boat. Marlboro.
Yeah.
So I don't think the business base adds, it's just another, but that's my feeling.
so do you think you plan to stay in Hopkinton for in the
Don't
near
have any
future?
place else to go.
Okay, let me
Well, it's
put
your
it this
home,
way.
it's home.
If we weren't 75 and almost 77, I would probably like to move out to there again, more rural. But at the age we are, you're not gonna pick up stakes and go build your little log cabin in the woods
Yeah.
someplace. You know, maybe if it'd been 20 years earlier, I might have thought about it.
Yeah.
But then I'm pretty squat anyway.
Well, I enjoyed talking to you, and I enjoyed listening to what you have to say about the town. So I think we're done here?
Yeah.
So this would conclude the interview of July 29th, 2013, and very interesting. Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.